You've been taught that helping everyone makes you a good person. But if you look back honestly, some of the people you helped are exactly the ones who hurt you the most. You lent money they never paid back. You listened to endless sob stories and then got ghosted the moment they felt better. You defended people in rooms they weren't even in, only to discover they were talking behind your back. You poured out time, energy, and loyalty, and what you got in return was entitlement, betrayal, or silence. That's not an accident. It's a pattern. The world doesn't award blind goodness. It often punishes it. When you help the wrong people, you don't just fail to fix them, you train them. You teach them that your energy is free, your time is flexible, and your boundaries are negotiable. They learn that all they have to do is cry loud enough, act helpless enough, or play the victim hard enough and you will bend. You think you are giving love? They see a tool they can use? Machiavelli understood this long before self-help books existed. In his world, helping the wrong ally could cost you your throne or your life. He observed that people you save often feel ashamed they needed you at all. That shame quietly turns into hatred. Instead of being grateful, they start resenting you for being strong where they were weak. Translate that to modern life. You help someone out of a mess they created, and a few months later they're telling people you think you're better than them. That is dark cost of uncalculated help. You need to reframe what help actually is. Help is not neutral. Every time you step in, you are either strengthening both of you or weakening both of you. Strategic help gives someone a chance to rise on their own feet and, at the same time, does not damage your position, sanity, or resources. Self-sacrifice is different. That's when you bleed, so someone else can keep avoiding their own reflection. It feels noble in the moment, but if you're honest, it often leaves you smaller, poorer, more exhausted, and strangely disrespected. This video is about the people Machiavelli would warn you never to help if you care about power, peace, and long-term survival. 7 types who consistently twist your support into something ugly. Learning to withhold help from them is not about becoming cruel. It is about refusing to be a permanent crutch or doormat in a world full of people willing to stand on you just to feel tall. Most people don't ruin their lives by helping too little. They ruin them by helping the wrong people too much. If you don't know who you must never help, you will keep feeding the very people who quietly destroy you. The first and most common dangerous type is the one who rejects responsibility and turns every act of help into fresh fuel for their own victimhood. The chronic victim. You already know this person. Nothing in their life is ever their fault. Every breakup was because the other person was crazy. Every failed job was because the boss was jealous. Every fight was because someone did them wrong. Listen carefully to their stories and you'll notice one constant. They are always the helpless character in the center, and everyone else is the villain. That is the chronic victim. They don't want solutions. They want an audience. In Machiavellian terms, a prince who blames fate, enemies, and bad luck for everything will lose his state. An ally who refuses responsibility is just as dangerous. When things go bad, they never say, "I chose badly. I ignored the signs. I created this mess." They say, "You didn't help me enough." The average helper feels empathy and steps in again and again. You lend money, listen for hours, give them a place to stay, rewrite their "are-some," talk them through the same drama on repeat. For a moment, you feel useful, even heroic. But nothing changes. Because your help is not fuel for action, it is fuel for more complaints. The chronic victim uses your attention to avoid looking in the mirror. As long as you keep rescuing them, they never have to ask the only question that matters. What am I doing to cause this? Think of the friend who keeps dating the same toxic type and calls you at 2 in the morning every time it explodes. You give advice, they nod through tears, and 3 weeks later they are back with the same person or a clone. Or the co-worker who never finishes their tasks, always has an excuse, and somehow convinces you to cover for them while they rehearse how unfair management is. In both cases, your help protects their pattern. Here is the dark twist. Over time, they begin to resent you. Your stability, your discipline, your refusal to collapse the way they do becomes an accusation without you saying a word. They start to hate you for being strong where they are weak. If you keep rescuing the chronic victim, you become the villain in their story the moment you stop. Helping someone who rejects responsibility is not compassion. It is a slow leak in your own power. If weakness drains you this much, wait until you meet the next type, the one who drains you not through helplessness, but through pure envy. Envy does not want your guidance, it wants your position. And when we move into the next law, you will see why giving power, access, or information to an envious person is like sharpening the knife they secretly plan to use on you later. The envious person is the one who smiles when you walk into the room, but secretly hopes you trip. They resent your success, your relationships, your confidence, even when they pretend to praise them. They compliment you with a knife hidden inside. You're doing well for someone like you. Must be nice to get everything handed to you. Your job isn't that hard though, right? Their eyes don't light up when you win. They narrow for half a second and then recover. That tiny flinch is the truth. In Machiavelli's world, envy was one of the most dangerous emotions at court because it lives quietly until the moment it can act. Those who envy you, he warned, will betray you as soon as circumstances allow. The average helper responds to envy by trying to win it over. You overshare your struggles to prove you're just like them. You give them opportunities, introduce them to your contacts, teach them your methods, hoping your generosity will melt their resentment. But envy is not healed by kindness. It is not simple jealousy about one thing you own. It is anger at your entire existence. To the envious, your success is an insult. Your happiness is a personal attack. When you help them, you don't dissolve that anger, you arm it. Think about the friend you helped get a job in your company. You vouched for them, trained them, showed them the shortcuts. A few months later, they're whispering in the manager's ear that you're not as competent as you seem, or trying to edge you out of projects you created. Or the family member you supported financially, listened to, and defended, who turns around and tells others you think you're better than everyone because you always act like the savior. What happened? Your help gave them more to compare and more access to your world, which gave them more reasons to resent you and more leverage to use against you. Help an envious person, and you're training your own future rival. The envious won't remember your help, only that you had something they didn't, and that you were close enough to study. This is why geniuses keep a calm distance from envy. They are polite, they are civil, but they do not feed it. Because while the chronic victim drains you through weakness, the next type doesn't even bother with resentment. They simply consume you without limit. That is the bottomless taker, the person for whom no amount of help is ever enough. The bottomless taker is the person for whom your help is never a gift. Their life is a rotating emergency. Rent this month, a ride next week, a place to stay just for a few days, a little emotional crisis every time they feel bored or lonely. Each time, they swear it's the last favor. Each time, you want to believe them. The pattern never changes. I just need one more thing is their language, and one more quietly stretches into years. The average helper tells themselves that one more loan, one more late-night call, one more rescue will finally stabilize this person. A genius understands a darker rule. With some people, there is no enough. They do not see your help as something to grow from. They see it as their right. In Machiavellian terms, helping without limits trains others to treat you as a resource, not as a person. A prince who opens the treasury to everyone who cries loudest will soon have nothing left to rule with. It is the same with you. Think of the relative who is always short on money. No budget, no discipline, no change, just a new story every time. You bail them out and watch as they repeat the same habits that created the problem. Or the friend who only calls when their life is on fire. When they are stable, you don't exist. When they are in crisis, your phone explodes. You are not in a friendship. You are an emergency service. Helping takers doesn't make them whole. It makes you empty. Time you say yes without boundaries. You teach them that your time, your money, your energy are an infinite tap they can turn whenever they feel like it. If someone's need is endless, your help will never be enough, but it will be enough to destroy you. You can't save someone who treats your effort like thing they are owed. Machiavelli would tell you to guard your resources ruthlessly, because power dies when you give away what sustains it. Learn to let the bottomless taker feel the weight of their own choices. Cushioning every fall, they either learn to stand or they find another host. Either way, you escape the slow death of being drained by someone who never planned to carry themselves. And while this type quietly bleeds you dry, the next one is even more dangerous. The traitor who takes your help and then uses it directly against you. The traitor is the person who has already shown you exactly what they do when loyalty and temptation collide, and you still consider helping them again. They have a history of cheating, backstabbing, leaking secrets, or selling people out when it benefits them. When they get caught, they don't change, they perform. They cry, they confess, they talk about their childhood, their stress, their confusion. They wrap betrayal in charm and apologies and ask you to help them rebuild trust. Machiavelli would laugh at this trap. He warned that a prince who trusts a known traitor deserves his ruin. Loyalty, once broken, is rarely restored. A person who has crossed that line has already shown you that your well-being is negotiable to them. The average helper believes in one more chance. They tell themselves everyone makes mistakes, that forgiveness is noble, that refusing to help would make them bitter. So they stay, they invest more, they offer support, time, money, even their reputation to prove they're not holding grudges. The genius reads the situation differently. They see betrayal not as a random glitch, but as a pattern. If someone was willing to slice your throat once when opportunity appeared, why would they become safer now that they know your weaknesses even better? Think of the partner who has cheated more than once, who now begs you to help save the relationship. They promise therapy, honesty, total transparency until the next opportunity appears. Or the colleague who leaked your idea, cost you credit, and now wants to team up on a new project because we work so well together. In both cases, helping them sends a message what you did had no real cost. You are saying, you can use me, hurt me, then come back whenever it suits you, and I will help you look good again. People who betray once and pay nothing are already planning their next opportunity. If you help a traitor twice, the second betrayal is partly on you. You taught them your forgiveness is infinite and your memory is short. Machiavellian thinking is simple here. Protect your position, your information, and your future from those who have already proven they will trade you for an advantage. Cut off the supply of trust and access. Let them rebuild their life without standing on your shoulders. Overt betrayal is obvious. What's more subtle are the people who don't stab you directly, but keep destroying themselves and dragging you into the blast radius. That's the next type you must never keep saving, the self-destructive. The self-destructive person is a walking storm you keep trying to build a house in. They ruin every fresh start with the same decisions, burn every bridge with the same habits, and somehow always find their way back to your doorstep, asking for help starting over. You can give them advice, money, connections, second and third chances. It doesn't matter. Within a short time, they are back in the same fire, because the real enemy isn't the world, it's themselves. They are addicted to chaos, gambling, substances, toxic partners, reckless spending, emotional explosions. Calm feels strange to them, so they destroy it and then act shocked at the ruins. The average helper looks at someone like this and thinks they just need more support. More love, more patience, more sacrifice. If I don't give up on them, you tell yourself, one day they'll finally change. So you co-sign the loan, cover the rent, bail them out, smooth things over with their boss or partner. You clean the mess again and again. On the surface, it looks like compassion. Underneath, it's something darker. You are volunteering to be collateral damage in their internal war. A Machiavellian mind sees the pattern clearly. Until a person decides to fight their own self-destruction, no external rescue will stick. Every time you save them from the consequences they created, you push their rock bottom further away and drag yourself closer to it. You become a cushion between their actions and their pain. That means their behavior gets wilder, because subconsciously they know you will absorb the impact. Think of the friend who always blows up their job with the same attitude, then cries about being targeted and runs to you for comfort and contacts. You help them find something new. Months later, the same story repeats. Or the sibling who keeps getting financial breaks, inheritance, settlements, gifts, and somehow ends up broke, calling you to lend money until the next miracle appears. They don't change because they have never been forced to stand inside the full cost of their decisions. In Machiavelli's world, tying your fate to someone like this would be political suicide. If a prince allies himself with a lord who constantly gambles away troops, insults allies, and provokes wars, he cannot win. The collapse of that lord will pull the prince down with him. It is no different in personal life. Saving someone from consequences they created is how you join their downfall. You are allowed to care and still step aside. If they won't fight for themselves, you cannot win their battle by bleeding for them. Detach your future from people who are committed to burning theirs. Because some people aren't just chaotic, they are also your competition. And helping those people doesn't just hurt you emotionally, it can directly weaken your position, which is exactly what happens with the next type, the ambitious rival. The ambitious rival is not your friend in distress, or a lost soul needing guidance. They are your future competition smiling in your face. They share your goals, your field, your ladder. You are both moving toward the same positions, clients, promotions, or audience. On the surface, they are respectful, even complimentary, but underneath, they are measuring themselves against you. The average helper is terrified of looking insecure, so they overcorrect. They overshare strategies, contacts, and hard-won insights to prove they are not threatened. They say things like, "There's room for everyone," while handing over the exact playbook they bled for. Geniuses think differently. They can collaborate, but they keep their core advantages protected. Machiavelli would call this simple self-preservation. Never arm someone who may need to be weaker than you tomorrow. A prince who trains a rival commander in all his tactics shouldn't be surprised when that commander leads a rebellion with skills the prince personally gave him. In modern life, the pattern is just as lethal, only quieter. Imagine a coworker who is aiming for the same promotion you want. They ask you to mentor them because they admire your experience. You walk them through how you manage your time, how you impress the bosses, which metrics actually matter. Months later, the two of you are being compared for the same role. Now your unique edge has vanished because you gifted it away. Or think of another creator in your niche asking for your full content strategy, your hooks, your titles, your monetization plan. You feel generous sharing, but what you are really doing is compressing years of your learning into a shortcut for someone who may outrun you using your own routes. Helping those who directly compete with you can erode your leverage in subtle but powerful ways. This doesn't mean you must be paranoid, bitter, or sabotage others. You can be respectful, fair, and even supportive in general ways. Encouragement, broad advice, mutual promotion, without feeding someone all the leverage they need to take your place. Learn to distinguish between cooperation that raises the whole field and coaching that replaces you. If you train your rival, don't be surprised when they take your spot. Helping someone who clearly wants your position is not kindness. It is self-removal disguised as virtue. Reserve your deepest insights, your tightest systems, and your sharpest contacts for people whose rise does not require your fall. And that brings us to the final, most obvious, yet most often excused danger of all. Helping people who don't just compete with you, but secretly hate you, the hidden enemy. The hidden enemy is the person who smiles when you win and secretly hopes you fall on your face. They shake your hand, but their eyes stay cold. In meetings, they act supportive, yet later you hear they questioned your motives, mocked your ideas, or celebrated quietly when something went wrong for you. This is not harmless jealousy, it is active resentment. Machiavelli would tell you that anyone who has reason to hate you must never be trusted with your power, your plans, or your goodwill, because mercy toward an enemy can be fatal. The average helper sees this tension and thinks, if I am extra kind, if I help them, they will finally see I am not their enemy. So you give them introductions, share resources, and go out of your way to be generous. You hope your kindness melts their hostility. But hatred has its own logic. The hidden enemy will reinterpret every kindness as manipulation, weakness, or proof that you fear losing them. In their mind, your help doesn't change the story. It just makes you easier to use. Think about the coworker who competes with you, gossips about you, and still asks you to recommend them to your contacts or pull them into your best projects. Or the ex, the rival, the online hater who borrows your ideas, seeks your advice, or copies your style while still throwing little shots at your name. When you help someone who clearly resents you, you don't create peace, you arm them. You hand them more information about how you think, more access to your network, more insight into your strengths and weak spots. An enemy with your help becomes twice as dangerous because now they can strike with accuracy instead of guessing. A genius accepts something most people cannot. You cannot heal someone's hatred for you by feeding it more of your energy. Distance, not devotion, is your protection. The ethical move is not to attack them, but to stop providing weapons disguised as favors. Keep things civil, keep things professional, but stop giving extra access to anyone who consistently undermines you. Notice who never claps when you win, who always finds a way to twist your intentions, who goes silent when others praise you. That is not someone to save. That is someone to keep at arm's length. Once you stop rescuing these 7 types, your help stops being a leak and starts becoming a deliberate investment. And that is where you finally become a strategic giver instead of a tired victim of your own generosity. From there, your support becomes rare, respected, and powerful, reserved only for those who prove they can rise with it over time. Up to now, your identity might have been the nice one, the dependable friend, the forgiving partner, the family problem solver. People know they can call you, unload on you, borrow from you, lean on you. And for a while, that made you feel valuable. But if you're honest, it also left you drained, used, and constantly shocked by how quickly people forget what you did for them. You confused saying yes with being worthy. You kept helping chronic victims, envious critics, bottomless takers, repeat traitors, chaos addicts, ambitious rivals, and hidden enemies as if your sacrifice would eventually transform them. It didn't. All it did was teach them that your time, your energy, and your forgiveness come cheap. That version of you is not noble. It is unprotected. The upgraded version is a strategic helper. This person still has empathy, but it's no longer for sale. They invest help in people who take responsibility, show real gratitude, and actually grow from it. They are simply unavailable to the 7 types you've just met. Chronic victims get listening once, not a lifetime contract. The envious don't get access to your playbook. Bottomless takers meet your limits and learn the word no. Traitors are cut off after the first betrayal. Self-destructive chaos magnets are allowed to feel consequences without you standing in front of them. Ambitious rivals get respect but not your secret weapons. Hidden enemies are treated with cold politeness and 0 extra favors. What keeps geniuses above others isn't 0 empathy, it's ruthless selectivity about where empathy goes. You can still be kind, but within boundaries that protect your power and your sanity. These filters are not about being cruel. They are about refusing to be complicit in your own destruction. To turn this from insight into instinct, run a simple 7-day boundary challenge. Each day, focus on spotting 1 type and making 1 different choice. Say no where you used to say yes. Step back instead of stepping in. Reveal less instead of dumping your soul. Or redirect someone to handle their own problem. Each night, journal your energy level, how much respect you received, and how peaceful you felt. You will be shocked how quickly things shift when you stop bleeding for people who would never do the same for you. If you keep helping everyone, you'll have nothing left when someone truly worthy needs you. The difference between a pawn and a strategist is not how much they give, but who they give it to. In Machiavelli's language, mastering yourself is how you master fortune. So ask yourself now, who do I stop rescuing first, and who has actually earned a place in my circle of help? Then start helping like someone who finally understands the game. My help is strategic, not desperate to be liked. I no longer rescue people who refuse to save themselves. My energy is a privilege, not a free resource. I see the patterns of users, and I step back. Saying no to the wrong people is saying yes to my future. Drop this affirmation in the comments to claim it. My help is strategic, not desperate to be liked. Tell me in the comments, which of these 7 types will you stop rescuing first? Comment, I see the game now, if this finally explained why your kindness kept attracting the wrong people.